Thank you very much, folks, for coming. Again, I'm Jeremy Budrow, Director of Jazz Band 1 at Holmes Middle School. Behind me are the students who are part of our upper-level jazz program at Holmes Middle School in Wheeling. The students behind me are kids from 6th through 8th grade. Mainly our group is comprised of 7th and 8th graders. However, we do have a couple of 6th grade standouts this year that have made it into our upper-level band. And we've got a choice selection of various tunes for you today. We'd like to start with a series of improvisations that we're going to play for you right now. One of the things that we do work on quite a bit and quite heavily in our curriculum for jazz is playing through improvised solos, which is a staple in the jazz medium and rock and roll as well. But we have the kids actually develop and create their own solos at the spur of the moment. So the songs or the pieces you're going to be hearing by individuals in just a few moments are going to be by kids creating that music right now for you completely spontaneously. So please allow them any consideration. If you like what you hear after they play, it's completely okay to clap. That's totally fine. And in this intimate setting, we'll try not to be too powerful for you, but we will make sure that the sound is heard. So without any further ado, a nice jazz jam for you. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. very much, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much. It's kind of interesting how we have to deal with figuring out a way to incorporate the improvisation into a performance situation. There's a bunch of improvised solos that are going to happen during our particular numbers, but to feature that many students at one time takes kind of a special experience. Come on in, man. There's some chairs over that way, and there's some chairs over there, and there's some chairs right next to the saxophones right here. Yeah. So we'd like to continue now with some full-on actual entitled pieces, and we've got a great selection of various music for you today, ranging from, and we stress these three qualities throughout our school year. We work on not only swing or jazz music, as we would pretty much think of it, swing tunes, but in addition to that, we also work on Latin flavored music and rock and roll. So we have a nice selection of all three of those for you today. And we are going to begin with a Latin number, which we played at a contest this year, which I'll get into more so as we go through, entitled You Do the Math. This one is by Mike Story and has a couple of different soloists on it. So, You Do the Math. Soloists right now, stay in the back. When you guys are actually going to do your thing, I think what we'll do is have a setup over there, something along those lines. 1, 2, 3, 4. As many of the parents who are in the audience know, our jazz group this year went to various different contests. One of the things we do, we go to various competitions throughout the school year. In addition to being a field trip and an experience for the students to go out and perform for other students, it also gives us a real focused point at which to hone our skills and really come up with a reason to get on out not only of our school but out of our community and play with other schools that are just as good as us, some schools that are better, some schools that are not actually on the same level. So it gives us a great opportunity to see various other school programs that do basically the same things that we do. So this year we actually went to multiple different contests. We went to the North Shore Jazz Festival and the IGSMA music competition, where at IGSMA we received a Division I rating. So the kids did a great job there, along with all their peers. About 9 or 10 different jazz groups came out to that event at our district level, and what happened all across the state in terms of about 30, 40, 50 bands competing all throughout the state of Illinois, and our division only had about 10. But that was all happening on the same day. So the kids have worked pretty hard on some of the music that you're about to hear. So without any further ado, we're going to continue with our Latin experience here and perform for you a piece of music that comes from an earlier set of repertoire from the beginning of the year. This is entitled Calle Caliente, which also means Hot Street. On this particular number, you're going to see various instrumentalists in the group put their instruments down, their primary instruments, and you're going to see them pick up some rudimentary Latin background instruments that would normally be used in the percussion section. And this year we only have one percussionist. Some of the kids in the middle of the band decided to help us out with that. So you get to hear from some interesting sounds in the middle of the piece. Calle Caliente. Thank you very much. Calle Caliente, the students performed earlier in this year. It was one of the first numbers we got to perform. We were invited to perform at what is called the State of the Schools Address. And that sounds very highfalutin, I know. In our school district, our superintendent goes to multiple different schools throughout the year and delivers a speech, very much like the President of the United States comes out and gives a speech to the parents about how the schools are doing. And over the last couple of years, we've been invited to go out and perform as kind of a superintendent's own band, if you will. We're not the president's own, of course, but we can be the superintendent's band. That's fine. So this is one of their first numbers that they performed, and we resurrected it from the beginning of the year. The kids kind of like it. It's a very interesting piece. And when you add the toys, those percussion instruments, they all became really happy about that. So that was good. So moving steadily along, we would like to now, the last two numbers have been Latin flavored, save the first one. So we had a lot of improvisation in a swing feel, and now we've just played for you two Latin type of pieces. And that means that the drummer and the bass player and the piano player, the way those are working is very specific to the style. Now what we're going to do is change up a little bit and cool things off in terms of the kind of music we're going to play. So right now, I need to head on over there. Guys, can we make some room? And we're going to set up our soloist over here. Let's get this raised up. And that's about as high as it's going to go there. So ladies and gentlemen, our next number, a tune entitled Sunflower, which is written by Jay Chataway, is going to feature on this particular number our 8th grade trombone lead player, Mr. Lester Crumba. Lester did perform this at the North Shore Jazz Festival, so he's worked long and hard on a piece that, unlike our improvised solos, this number features Lester pretty much the entire way through on both main melody and then eventually on an improvised solo. So again, there is going to be improvisation. If we like what we hear, we can go ahead and give some appreciation. So without any further ado, ladies and gentlemen, Lester Crumba and Sunflower. One, two, three, four. Gentlemen, thank you very much. It comes to my attention that I'd like to, at this point, simply recognize the fact that in our group, there have been a certain number of kids who've been in it. We always usually have maybe one or two kids that are at the very youngest level who are able to, just by sheer talent alone, able to make it into the upper level groups. And at this point, I just want to make mention that we have a number of different 8th grade students in our particular group this year. And they are, of course, all going to graduate. Our particular institution, Holmes Middle School in Wheeling, feeds directly into Wheeling High School. So barring any students going to parochial school or moving, all of our kids eventually end up at the Wheeling High School band program, which, interestingly enough, I work there as well. So that it's very nice to have that streamlined continuity there for the kids to come into a jazz program over there that's really working very hard as well. So right now, ladies and gentlemen, these 8th grade students who are putting in so much time, who've been in the band for now 2 to 3 years, I'd like to just really quickly give them a round of applause. Guys, you can stay seated, but for the 8th graders, if you would, folks. About more than half of our group this year is going to graduate and move on up to the high school level. So next year, we're really counting on the 7th graders and 6th graders who are in the band to make sure that the band keeps its level of consistency and excellence. So with that, we're going to come to the middle portion of our program. We'd like to now move it along and kick it back into gear here with a Ray Charles piece entitled What Did I Say? Hopefully everyone's heard this before. We just played this at our Pops concert a couple weeks ago. I'd like to talk about that a little bit after we perform it. So, what did I say? And this one I think has, well, you'll hear how it works. It eventually features the brass versus the saxophone section. You'll hear how that goes. But it's a very interesting duality between the upper horns right here and the back horns. What did I say? One, two, 3, 4. All right, moving steadily through here. All right, our next composition comes out of our jazz curriculum workbook, a very famous number. This is entitled the St. Louis Blues. Basically on this number, which again, as we move through our different styles and change our different concepts throughout the school year, working on a hardcore rock tune like that, then we switch it up to a swing number like the very first one we heard, and then finally we have those Latin pieces that we have. Allows the kids some diversity and some concepts that are not just singular into one idea of music. And that way when they go into high school, they have a general idea of, when the band directors over there decide to, you know, pull out a famous piece of music, they have a general idea of how to connect with it. Besides listening to it and then practicing, they have an idea of where to start, if you will. So our next number is going to feature, again, a number of different soloists, and same kind of idea where the kids stand up. This is going to be them providing spontaneous, improvised music on the spot for you. So again, if you do feel as though they did a great job, go ahead and throw out some love with some clapping. That'd be swell. This one is entitled The St. Louis Blues. All right, so you're going to rock out first. Okay, so you're going to generate around me. You're going to go second, and then after that, we'll start pulling some people. Okay. All right. 1, 2, 1, 2, and. that'll help. It'll help here. We don't need it anymore, yeah. Jasmine. Our next number, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your wonderful applause. They're very helpful for the kids' egos. And let me tell you, there's some egos in the band. Whew, okay, but that's very helpful. Thank you all. Self-esteem, it's such a big deal these days with the kids. Yeah. Okay. Our next number is going to be, and this is slightly not normal for a middle school group. The kids have been very good in trying out various things that I thought they were going to be able to handle this year, some of which they could, most of which they could, to be honest, and some things that maybe were just a slight bit too beyond them. And this one I thought was actually going to be. They'll all tell you that by looking at it, it looks very simple. However, it's not so much the individual in this particular number that makes it challenging, it's how the entire piece syncs together. So what we're about to perform for you, ladies and gentlemen, is a piece entitled Jasmine Tea. And this is also another contest piece that we've worked on quite a bit. However, what makes it special is the fact that it's a 3/4 swing waltz. And when I say the term waltz, we all envision people dancing in that 3-meter fashion. But when you play that as a middle school student, we almost exclusively work in the realm of 4 beats per measure. So jumping to something in 3 becomes a little bit more challenging. And then when we add the swing feel on top of that, and additionally makes it even more of a challenge. So this next piece by Vince Gassi is entitled Jasmine Tea, features a number of students again on improvised solos. Also, we kind of keep that throughout the entire thing. It's so good when to see them just stand up and play away. So again, if you see a kid stand up and you like what they did, go ahead and please show some appreciation. Vince Gassi's Jasmine Tea. One, two, three. Coming down to the wire here, ladies and gentlemen. We have just 2 more numbers to feature for you today. And again, I'd like to say thank you for everyone coming out, especially all parents who've heard the music quite a bit. But for all of those who have never heard this band play before, thank you very much for being here and supporting the kids. Our next piece, also a feature number, very similar to Lester's Sunflower. This particular number is going to feature our 8th grade lead trumpet player, Mr. Jose Ortiz, and this one's entitled Beneath an Orange Moon. Now, in terms of stylistic concern, this is another Latin feel, so very similar to some of the pieces that we played in the beginning. This does feature Jose not only on the main melody of the piece, but of course on an improvised solo. And I believe we also have one more solo as well today, and we'll hear from our other soloist in just a bit when she stands up and plays. You'll notice that we've now had trumpets play with multiple different accoutrements. Those are called mutes, the parts that fit inside the bell, and Jose is going to be using a harmon mute on this piece for the main melody, and then a open for his solo, and then put that back. So the difference in sound you'll detect right away, but that's because of the mute placement. So this one's entitled Beneath an Orange Moon, featuring Jose Ortiz. One, two, three, four. Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, I would like to say thank you to the library for having us come on out and perform for you today. Ms. Barr, thank you very much for making the connection and inviting us to come on out and play. It's been a great, great time. We've had so much fun. Thank you very, very much. Obviously, there's some treats and some coffee and so forth, so feel free to have those when we're concluded here today. And to all the parents who made sure that their children were here, thank you all very much. Very helpful. especially those who forgot their instruments today. Thank you very much. We'll talk about that later. Okay, so our last and final piece that we will be performing for you today has been the big banger that the kids have liked the entire year long, which is good sometimes, bad others, depending upon how musically inclined or how proficient the piece is. And this one, it turns out to be a very, very nice musical piece that was great to teach and is great to hear the kids play. So we're going to play the theme song from the film series made popular by Sylvester Stallone, the Rocky series. This is the theme made famous by Maynard Ferguson entitled Gonna Fly Now, which you probably all have heard a billion times. Here's a billion and one. Okay, so here you are, folks. This is Gonna Fly Now. This features a number of different students. So when they stand up again, they're improvising for you. Let them go ahead and play and go ahead and throw down some applause for them. Once again, thank you all very much. Thank you for having us. And we've really enjoyed ourselves here today, so thank you very much. Gonna Fly Now. 1, 2, 3.